Hey y'all, welcome back to Weekly Hyperfixations. I'm Riot. For those of you who celebrate, Merry Christmas. This is being filmed on Christmas Eve, and this will be out the day after Christmas. But either way, happy holidays. And I'll be so real with y'all. This episode, very self-indulgent. It's the holidays. I'm choosing to not stress out about a bunch of things. Literally the notes, I don't know if you can see this, but it like ends like right here. So it's like half a page of note. It's not even half a page of notes, really. So that's whimsical and fun. So let's just get into it. In fact, I'll even start with the stuff that's not necessarily outright super positive, I guess, for lack of better terms. I think it's great. Not everyone does, though, and I do want to acknowledge that. Claire Obscure did lose some of the awards that it got, including the specifically the Indie Game Awards. It had won Game of the Year, but upon finding out about the usage of AI, it became disqualified, and therefore, I believe Blueprints instead got that award. And speaking of, because of someone on the team for this news journal being really pissy because they liked Claire Obscure, there was an article that has since been edited to remove such a false take. And I immediately fucking forgot the name of the news source. But it might have been like The Escapist or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. It's been removed from the article since, of course, but someone on their team posted a false article claiming that Blueprints had used AI because they were so upset. Like, the individual that wrote the article was so unbelievably upset about Claire Obscure getting its award taken away. And of course, statement from the Blueprints team, of which I will read verbatim. For people that need confirmation, there is no AI used in Blueprints. The game was built and crafted with full human instinct by Tonda Ross at Dog You Mom and his team. It is the result of 8 years of development, fueled by imagination and creativity, and we are extremely proud of what Tonda has achieved. This, of course, was functionally what we like to call subtweeting that the news of that article. And of course, it's been removed since then. I really hope that person got fired because, like, they wrote a false article based on their own personal opinion. That alone should be able to get you sorry. Let me rephrase that in a way that is correct. That alone is grounds for firing someone in journalism. That really should be grounds for firing someone. And don't look at me, J. Jonah Jameson. Fictional character though he may be. But also, this is not like, this article clearly wasn't done as like a sensationalist, grab your attention, get you to buy whatever the thing is. This was literally just someone's opinion. So it doesn't even count towards like, oh, they're just trying to sensationalize. No. Let's see. All right, pretty much everything I'm going to talk about from now on are just things that I like and was excited about. And I'm going to be yapping a lot about 2 different games because I've been playing a lot of them. So I'm going to be yapping about those 2 games, as well as a couple other things. Okay. Very interestingly, a George Harrison music video, and if somehow that name does not click for you, one of the Beatles, they released a new video for a song, and it's beautiful claymation. And I just wanted to highlight it because it's directed by Finn Wolfhard, of whom some of you may know from, like, you know, Stranger Things, his breakout role in Stranger Things, as Mike. But dude's got really cool projects. He's also a musician. Banger. Highly recommend his work. But also it's just cool to see that they let him direct a claymation music video for George Harrison. I thought that was really cool. It's also really great, and it's silly, but you know, it's really great, and I like it a lot. But my first exposure to Finn Wolfhard was the fact that he was in the NSP music video for Danny Don't You Know, because when he was younger, well, he still does, but when he was younger especially, he looked a lot like young Dan, so they had him play young Dan in the video. Banger music video as well. Really funny. I just love NSP, to be fair. All right. What else we got? If any of you have not yet heard and would be interested, Steam is having its winter sale right now. The big highlights, there are a couple multiplayer games that are 90% off. I know for a fact that Golf with Your Friends is like less than $2, and Overcooked, which is, albeit stressful, but a multiplayer game, is also about $2. There's also a lot of really good sales on big games. There are some, like, you know, some of the games that won awards, they just have a 10% off. But yeah. My big takeaway from this, I did get a game, which I will talk about in a minute. But and then I also, I'll talk about those when I get to them. Just talking about them. But $10 off Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Hey, not enough for me to buy Hello Kitty Island Adventure. I know you all got my little guy in there. I know he's in that game. He's on the little picture fishing something up, but $10 off is not enough for me personally to justify buying that game, because either I'm gonna full send it or I'd like a better discount. You know what I mean? But Steam Winter Sale is happening. And also to keep in mind, if you are someone who is able to afford the Steam Machine console when it comes out, you might as well grab some games now, and then that you intend to play on the Steam Machine. You know what I mean? Also, if you're interested in anything from the Steam Points shop, like if you have a Steam Deck, I know you can get startup animations on the Steam Points shop. There's also a lot of new stuff for that. And I just wanted to touch on that because, I mean, there's like Assassin's Creed, there's a couple Assassin's Creed games that are like $5. So, you know. Also, I already own the game, but I'm assuming this might be the sale where Skyrim is $5 whole dollars. So if you've never played a game like that, there are some games that are on a ridiculously high sale. Okay, let's see here. Oh yeah. I didn't talk about this last week because I kind of got caught up in all the other things I was talking about. And I think I mentioned them. Yeah, I mentioned them a little bit previously, but we've since gotten the actual things. Marvel Rivals, of course, has put out their Christmas skins. What I'm most excited about, though, and I already, a friend got it for me for Christmas, but they did a Marvel Rivals festive throwback event where for just like, I think 2-3 weeks, any skin that had been in a previous holiday event or like summer event or whatever except for the most recent one, I think. They brought back all of those skins to be available for purchase. So I would say white whale under any other circumstances, but like I really wanted a very specific Lin Lee skin, Iron Fist skin. And I was so pissed off because if it's not available in the shop, it doesn't show up as a cosmetic unless you have it. Like in the cosmetic screen, it pretends it doesn't exist. So, and as far as I knew, that was the only one that was an event skin that didn't show up on that page for Lin Lee. They brought it back. My friend got it for me for Christmas. I'm so excited. This means I get to go back to learning Iron Fist, because I don't know if y'all know this, I'm more of a tank player. Yes, I play Miss Rogue. Of course I do. And I also play Angela, because of course I do. But whenever I play Duelist, I pretty much mostly just choose Frank Castle, because if I'm gonna play DPS, the things that make the most sense to me in an Overwatch style of game are if you just choose a character that has a gun, basically. So Frank and Star-Lord are the only DPS characters that I'm like super okay, like I'm good with. And then in terms of healer, I am only good with little shark boy, but yeah, I don't I wish I understood playing healer. I don't think I've ever understood it. I understand it in the MMO sense, but anything outside of that, I don't really get it. I think I'm just hardwired to either do as much damage as I can or to be tanky enough to take a lot of damage and give a lot of damage, but I'm not really good at healing characters. But the holiday throwback, the festive throwback event is excellent because there's so many skins that just you could not get a hold of because if you missed the event. And I'm really glad that they brought them back. The next event skin that I missed that I deeply want is I missed the short amount of time they had that summer Johnny skin. I somehow missed it to the point in which I didn't even think they had released one. And I think I may have mentioned that. Yeah. No, I just missed it by like the 1 week I didn't play or whatever. Or I probably didn't play for a month, I'll be so real, but because I took a break immediately after the Psylocke Loki skins were in store. I took a break right after that, and I assume it must have been in that month. Because it was still summer. But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm assuming they might do this every year because it's a great way to get that influx. But yeah, that was really fun. And shout out to my friend for getting me the Lin Lee skin. I'm so excited. That reminds me that I need to play Marvel Rivals with other friends that play it more often, because I usually only play it in a group that's mostly household members and then a couple friends. And I do know other people who play the game. I don't know why I'm not playing the game with them. Yeah. Ooh. I do want to mention, and this is something that, as far as I'm aware, came out today because I didn't see anything about it yesterday. Porsche, the car company, released a commercial that they pretty much headlined as like, we did not use AI for our Christmas commercial. Here it is. And that it, you know, human-made commercial. It's beautiful, aesthetically pleasing, and way better. just, Porsche as a company very clearly understands where that humanity is trying to push back against generative AI, and they recognize that and go, we see you don't like this thing, therefore we paid good money to have an artist make this thing by hand for us. Beautiful. Give me 20 of them right now. You know what I mean? Oh, excellent. I can't believe I almost forgot to talk about that because I'm ramping myself up for the games I want to talk about. So let's see here. My friend who I play Final Fantasy XIV with, she convinced me to get this farming game that I've looked at before. And I'm pretty sure I didn't get it because someone had had accused them of using AI because their character portraits like don't look the best. And first of all, the game is much older than AI getting good at making simulacrum, basically, of things like that. But also, when I look at the character portrait artwork, it is so clear to me that an artist who has never done pixel art was trying to do pixel art. In fact, my friend and I joked that it honestly looks more like every single person in the studio got to create a character and they themselves drew that character because, yeah, the art style is inconsistent and has been vastly improving and now looks more consistent. I genuinely just think that they had a bunch of artists do all of those. But also there's nothing in it that, due to how old the game is in comparison to advancements in AI, and then also on top of that, the fact that if it had been that they haven't changed the portraits literally ever, and paired with the timeline of like they've never changed the portraits the whole time the game has been out, and you pair that with when the game came out, those sprites, that portrait work would have way more noticeable AI mistakes, like when generative AI used to give things way more fingers than was necessary and things like that. This is just someone who's trying really hard to find a good, consistent art style for pixel art, and they're not used to it. Because like pixel art can be real weird. I can only fathom Minecraft skins. I'll be so real with you. In terms of pixel art, that is the only pixel art I can fathom, is putting something into Minecraft. But there were also more like, I'm trying to remember what it was. They did go out of their way to make statements about it. And so I did end up getting the game recently because I had apparently ignored it the second that someone was like, I think it's AI. Because unfortunately, due to where we are with advancements in AI, people will look at things at face value, won't check when they're made, and automatically be like, oh, well, I think this is AI. I've seen, most recently, someone did that about, what is it? One of Beach Bunny's album covers. And she literally had to openly be like, that is a drawing that was made based off of an image of my friend. Here is that image. We drew over the image because someone like had circled, you know, part of the roller skate and like a couple other things. And then you compare it to the actual image and it's like, yeah, someone did just like, it's not AI. Someone traced the image. I'm sorry, it doesn't look like Picasso. Like, I'm sorry, it's not a Van Gogh. You know what I mean? So it's really unfortunate that because AI is getting that advanced, that people are just willy-nilly throwing accusations at actual artists, especially ones that, like, just because they don't have a consistent or even just a refined art style, hey, that doesn't mean that they're using that. It actually means that they're trying their hardest. Crazy how that works. Anyways, I'm getting super off track. The game is called Sunhaven. It's a farming game. Big surprise. It's really interesting. Just the fact that they give you 7 species to choose from for what your player character is, and there's quite a bit of character customization. You know, human, elf, demon, angel, Amari, which is like basically any sort of animal person, elemental, which does have the least amount of customization options, but it's a person made out of fire or water. There's an option to be a snake person, and I feel like there's one more and I can't remember what it is. Maybe I'm just thinking of elemental again. Yeah, I'm just thinking of elemental. It's really fun though, because first of all, there is so much to do in this game. I understand that some people who, like, if you play Stardew Valley, yeah, this game is still going to be overwhelming to you. Like, it starts out really normal. It starts out very normal farming game. But once you advance the story to a certain point, it's like, okay, you can do this thing and go to the great city and unlock the great city. And then you can do this thing and unlock this city that has a farm on it. And then you can unlock this city that has a farm on it. And suddenly you have 5 different land properties that have farms on them that you need to manage at the same time. But it's so fun. It's so very fun. There are so many romanceable characters, and they've really tried to spread out, like, it's not just a bunch of humans, you know what I mean? There's a dude who's basically this funny, he kind of looks like a hybrid between Alucard and Cloud, and that's exactly what he is. There's a girl who, get this, her name's Kitty. I would love for you to guess what she looks like. She takes care of animals and also has a K-pop group. Sure. But there's a bunch of people and a lot of variety, honestly, which is really nice. Like, within one day playing the game, I unlocked the ability to go to 3 different towns and half of the unlock quest for a different town. So, you know, I'm going ham. Also, there are options to make the game less stressful. You can literally make yourself invincible if you find the combat. If you are someone who likes a farming game but does not really like having combat in the farming game, you can't get rid of the combat completely, but you can make it so you can never take damage. So that does help you progress the story, because some of the story progressions, 2 of those towns, to unlock them, you have to do a boss fight. So basically it just takes away the stressful part of having to do combat by making it so that you cannot get damaged and you'll be fine. There's skill trees for each skill, which is really fun. Fishing, great news, easy. Very easy to do. Also, I feel like I should have mentioned this earlier because I should have. Each species that you can play as has a different bonus perk. And also, if you're a completionist kind of mindset, you do get achievements for creating a character of each playable species. So do keep that in mind. It is a bit hard to do that, to completionist the game, because you have to make several files. And of course, you know, there's an achievement for marrying each person and stuff like that. So that's a lot. Oh wait, I unlocked the ability to go to 2 different towns and I just haven't done it. I forgot about the angels. And yes, you heard me. Okay. I'm losing my train of thought for some reason. It's very fun. It's not a hard game. And though crossplay is not available, and I think the only console it's on right now is Xbox, but it does have a multiplayer option. My friend who got me into the game, we did start a multiplayer file together. It is the most she has played the game. I think she said that any other friend she's played with, she's not gotten past day 7. We're on day 11. Hell yeah. And then in my personal file, I'm on summer day, like 14. So, blazing through it as I usually do. Yeah. Also, I didn't think it would be hard to pick which character to romance. And now I'm like, there's 4 different characters I like. Oh no, 5 different characters. Oh no. So yeah, it's a whole ordeal, I think. But I really love it. Even you don't even have to farm necessarily. But even that, has a lot of unique aspects to it, which is really nice. And I just really like the game. It's also very interesting. The story, at least where I'm at in the story, and the stories of the other towns that I have been a part of are all very interesting to me, which is nice. It's not just like a standard, like, oh, someone in your family died, so now you have this farm or whatever. You know what I mean? And it does have the, like, it doesn't even tell you how you got the farm. It's just like, oh, you're going already. You know what I mean? Also, interestingly, the opening cutscene, first of all, you get a dialogue choice option thing that does matter because it gives you a starting item that gives you a boost towards something. And fun fact, if you skip the intro entirely, you still get an item, but it's not one of the ones that was available. It's like the time medallion or something like that, because you saved the time by skipping the intro, which is really interesting. Also, dialogue options between romanceable characters do matter, because if you say something that character doesn't like, they might dislike you for saying that, which is really interesting. Also, all the romanceables have like twice as many hearts as most games do, and I think it's because you can so easily get really high friendship with characters literally just by talking to them and saying things that they agree with. It's really funny. But it's a fun time regardless. All of the festivals I've experienced so far are very fun. There's also events that can happen on the farm every season, a couple of them per season, I think, and those are really cool as well. Yeah, it's really fun. I just really like that game and I wanted to talk about it. And I will talk about it a little more when we get to the pyramid. Next up, I'm going to talk about Final Fantasy XIV because of course I am. I'm gonna be as unspoilery as I can necessarily about it, but I am going to say Endwalker spoilers, and I want to say Shadowbringers spoilers because I will talk about Estinian. I think that's the big spoiler part for him. I think I forgot. So where I am in Endwalker, basically there's the base game and then there's expansions onto the game because it's an MMO. It's A Realm Reborn, Shadowbringers, Heaven's Word, Stormblood, Endwalker, I think. And then Dawn Trail, which I'm not there yet. I think that's the order. Don't quote me on that, because I don't know if I'm saying the correct order for Shadowbringers and Heaven's Word, but I think it's in that order. I don't remember. But I am about to finish Endwalker. I have 2 quests left. I plan to finish it on Friday when this video, while this video is going up, I will be finishing Endwalker, probably crying my eyes out, even though I know what happens. And I know at the same time that everything's fine. Because Dawn Trail exists. And I saw the trailer for it when the trailer for Dawn Trail came out. But I have been having the time of my life. I've been so excited about the end of Endwalker because you go to a single place called Ultima Thule, and there are basically 3 different worlds in Ultima Thule, kind of, because it's like memories of different civilizations that have just been lost. And it's so cool. Also, I need y'all to know, previous to going to Ultima Thule, at the beginning of Endwalker, hey, you go to the moon. Not a joke. The moon. Because the apocalypse is happening now. Or rather, you go to the moon and then find out that you got tricked into helping start the apocalypse because they were like, oh, you need to defeat this thing before this person does. Turns out they wanted you to defeat it because that, yeah. So then you find out that the apocalypse is starting. The moon is actually basically a spaceship to get everyone from this planet to another planet so that they don't all die. The people in charge of the spaceship, rabbit people. They're like 2 feet tall. Not a joke. Loporrits are really cute. Some of them I could punch into the sky though, because their voices are just annoying. But I want to tell y'all about this funny little cutscene that I got. My favorite character, Urianger Augerelt, is on the moon at the time of this cutscene. You go back to Charlian, which is like where that's basically like your base of operations at this point. And, you know, I got a cutscene and it gave me a choice that I wasn't expecting. A knock happens on the door of your chambers at the place that, you know, your whole group is staying. And it lets you choose who shows up. Well, my favorite character is on the moon. I'm not going to pick Grahatia. I've heard Jonathan Bailey talk enough. Not super invested in either of the twins at this point, even though literally most of the stuff that happens in Charlian is related to their family drama. Meh. Thancred, meh. Could care less, I guess. Ishtola, she seems like a default option to me. So I was like, I guess I'll choose Estinian because he seems like the odd one out of the bunch most of the time. To be fair, he does do that on purpose, but meh. Yeah, I'll pick Estinian. And I've looked up the other cutscenes, and none of them remotely feel the same as this one did when I watched it. He shows up to your room. He's like, oh, good. No one else is here. Great. He then proceeds to, like a lot of the other cutscenes, he reminisces about where you met him, where, you know, basically the journey you have had with this character in terms of plot. Then he goes, you know what? I think I'm going to get some fresh air. Don't tell anyone I was here. The whole cutscene, you're standing, you know, you open the big door to your room and you're talking basically at the threshold. And then he's like, I'm going to get some fresh air. Starts walking into your room. Okay. He goes, don't tell anyone I was here. Keeps walking towards the back of the room. Yeah, I'm just gonna go. Gets on the window railing. Yeets himself into the night. He's like, I'm gonna go take a walk. Don't tell anyone I was here. Jumps into the night, out of your window. Don't worry, first story window. Also, this dude has done jumps way crazier than that. He's fine. Girl, what? What is that? What is that? So that's very entertaining to me. And I think I may have actually mentioned it because I did talk about him at least last week, but either way, girl, what? And then we get to where I am in Endwalker. And he, you know, he has this whole like emotional thing that everyone in the group is basically sacrificing themselves to make sure that you can get to where you need to go to stop the end of the universe, basically. In Ultima Thule. And where I'm at, it's just me and the twins. Everyone else is gone. Everyone else is gone. Or back on normal Earth, Etheris. Back in Eorzea. And I know what the cutscene contains, and I know that within that cutscene so much will happen that is just, and I'm talking that last quest, the quest titled Endwalker. It goes, talk to this person, cutscene, dungeon, cutscene, trial, cutscene, unstoppable fucking instance, which means a solo fight that no one else can be in. Cutscene, credits, cutscene. So you can see why I'm saving this for Friday. Because oh my god, that last quest is easily an hour of just cutscenes, but there's also a dungeon and a boss fight and a solo instance. I'm not ready. I will say I've read that the solo instance is purposefully rigged for you to win because it's more of an epilogue kind of thing and less, it's not relevant to the end of the world, really. It's just like a little capstone. You know what I mean? So I'm very excited. I'm also very excited because once I finish Endwalker, I get to do Dawn Trail because, like I mentioned earlier, Steam Winter Sale, Dawn Trail was half off and my partner gave me half of the money for it. So I was able to get Dawn Trail. I'm also free of my level 90 cap. I've never felt better. And we also recently had a patch update, which means more Dawn Trail story has been added, basically. I'm very excited. Also, there was a scene that I encountered in Endwalker before leaving for Ultima Thule. All three of my favorite characters were on screen at the same time. Hell yes. And my enemy, Nero Tolskeva. Forgot he existed and became a good guy. but he was there. But my favorite characters are Sid Garland, which is the Sid of Final Fantasy XIV, who, by the way, is supposed to be 34. Ain't no way that motherfucker is 34. He looks like he's 50. Anyway, and then Urianger was in that cutscene as well, of course. And of course, Estinian was also in that cutscene. So it is what it is. Okay. I've been yapping a long time about games, so I'm going to move on to the pyramid, which is also about these two games. Our bottom of the pyramid is going to be all Sunhaven characters, and then our top of the pyramid is going to be all Final Fantasy XIV characters. I'm going to double check that I'm about to say one of the Sunhaven characters' names correctly, because it is a weird one. If I can use my eyeballs. Oh my gosh, I know I have this picture, but my brain is just not. There it is. Okay. Did I even spell her name right on the pyramid? I did. Okay, good. So first up on the pyramid, a character from Sunhaven, of whom I have unlocked his city, but I purposefully haven't gone there because it seems like a lot. And I was a bit worried about it. Just out of the reasoning of like, I unlocked like 3 other cities at the same time, and I was more intrigued by the Elven city than his city. But first up on the pyramid is Karish, who is a shark man. Yes, I know this. I still like this character, but basically when you meet him, you have to complete a certain boss fight, because that boss fight will trigger the problem in his town underwater, by the way, that you need to solve. But he is basically one of the only people in his town who have not succumbed to this like parasitic advisor guy, who is that boss fight you fight, by the way. He goes into the ocean and basically mind controls the whole town, except for this guy. So you go to the southern part of your farm after defeating that boss, and you find that there's a whirlpool there. And if you approach the whirlpool, you get the cutscene. There's this big tall rock that wasn't there before, and Karish is on top of it. And he's like, oh, I'm the only person in town checking out this whirlpool because I don't know why it's here and no one seems to care. Don't go in it. Hey, go in it, actually. So you jump in the whirlpool and you survive. You're just in the ocean, but you survive. And he goes, whoa, that was sick as hell. I need to make it so that you can breathe, though. Let me go grab you something real quick. And then he does that, and then you can breathe underwater. And it's he almost gave me a complete ick, because he was like, oh, Sod, you didn't even die. You jumped in here. You jumped into a whirlpool. That's metal as hell. And I'm like, okay, he's a little bit much. But also, I mean, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't going to, over time, try to romance at least every character at least once. I mean, why wouldn't I? There's also achievements attached to that, so obviously I'm going to. But Karish is still on the pyramid, because he seems cool, and also the whole underwater area so far has been very cool. And I wanted to highlight that. Next up on the pyramid is Shang. He is an Amari. That's what it's called, right? I'm not saying that wrong. Yeah, he's an Amari. He's a normal dude who has like a tiger ears and tail, basically. He is a pirate that sails in from another land, and the only reason he's a pirate is because he was one of the high class families in the, I want to say, Jade Empire or something like that. and basically a new empress was crowned, and she basically shoved his family out of everything. So he left. And he's really mean at first because he's very distrusting, because his whole life got uprooted, and now he docks his ship at the pier, and he's like, everyone here is way too friendly. That dissolves pretty quickly. Don't worry. If you just talk to him and be nice to him and give him things, even just like apples. I've just been giving him apples. Not even special. They grow everywhere. He starts to be less of like, he seems to realize that the town that you live in, Sunhaven, is nice enough that he probably can stay here and he'd be fine. So then he will eventually start talking about like, he was trained to be a warrior, so he talks about protecting the town and things like that. But I wanted to highlight him because, first of all, my friend and I totally flayed him alive when we were making jokes about all of the portraits. We were like basically doing a read on each character. And for some reason, the picture we were looking at used the picture of him smiling instead of his normal picture. Did not help anything. But also she keeps calling him an asshole, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. In my game, he's very amicable and fine. But I wanted to put him on the pyramid because he is currently, out of the 3 characters that I'm outwardly romancing, it would be 4, but the elf guy won't let you romance him until you earn his trust through the story, which sucks. He won't even let me give him gifts, which is what's pissing me off. But Shang is the one out of the 3 that I chose to be on the pyramid. And then our finale for the Sunhaven folks on the pyramid. Next up on the pyramid, and I don't know if I'm saying this right, is Mion. She is an angel. She's never been allowed to do anything fun in her life. She's very sweet. She's very like, oh, I don't know if I'm allowed to do that because my parents say that I'm not allowed to do fun things like that. And basically you have to like work her out of her shell and be like, girl, you're an adult. Quit listening to them. I don't care that you're angels. Quit listening to them. Absolutely tempting to romance her while playing a demon character. Just saying. It's giving Aziraphale and Crowley a little bit. And I would love that. But she's on the pyramid because she's a sweetie and she deserves better, clearly. Oh, she's my favorite romanceable character out of all of the women. By a long shot. A long shot. Oh my gosh. Because a lot of the other characters are like there's Anne, who's very sleazy businesswoman kind of thing, which I'm not a fan of. And then Catherine is just a witch, and I can't tell what her personality is outside of what she does, which is disappointing. I'd hope she'd be more interesting, but then there is Kitty, which I just don't like because aesthetically I don't mesh well with that. There's Lynn, who's the first character in the game you meet. She's really weird to you if you are like a demon or a snake person. She's like, oh, you don't have legs as a snake person. And I'm like, girl, what the fuck? You don't just say that to people. But then she's really excited and nice to you if you're an elf. Girl, get out of here. So we joke about Lynn constantly. There's Zyla, who I haven't really gotten a huge gauge for her personality, but it really seems like she's the character that's kind of trying to fit like the goth punk aesthetic in a way that just feels too cookie cutter for me. There is one other woman I haven't met, Zarya. She is underwater, I think. So I haven't met her yet. She's probably still in consideration. She's giving Laguna Blue Monster High. But anyways, also there's Vivi, who's very cute. She kind of looks like Squirrel Girl. She's definitely in the running, but I also I feel like in terms of women, because as an AFAB person, I'm much more bold and out there. I prefer my tasted women leans more like sweet and things like that. Like it's very much less like if someone has a similar energy to me, I'm more likely to be their friend than to be like, wow, I like that person. You know what I mean? Yeah. If this is a loudness competition, hey girl, I'm not competitive. I've never been competitive. That's not true. In high school gym class, I was competitive and that was about it. Anyway, I need to move on because this is going so long. We're going to move on to the top 3 slots of the pyramid, which are all Final Fantasy XIV characters. Despite my earlier comment on her, Y'shtola is next up on the pyramid. She is the commander for my commander deck in Magic the Gathering. So there's that. I really enjoy just the things that she talks about and says in general, because she's a very knowledge-focused person. She's very devoted to seeking knowledge. She very much knows what she is doing. And if she doesn't, she's very, very focused on learning it. And she just seems like an excellent individual to talk to. She really seems like a default option to me a lot of the time though, because she is the cat girl in the group. She's very smart though, but she's like, you know, it's a cat woman in a video game. I don't really need to say much else about that, about why she would feel like a basic option. But she is a really cool character and I wanted to put her on the pyramid. Next up on the pyramid is my original favorite character, Urianger. Tell me why a 29-year-old man has gray hair and is using thee, thou, and perchance unironically. Why does he talk like that? I do not understand why he talks like that. He talks like he is reading Shakespeare like constantly. But I love him. He's a great character. He goes through a lot throughout the story though. And genuinely a lot of it is just like, I know, you know, there's people who have died and he assumes himself to be the cause. No, buddy, no. You know what I mean? But Urianger has been my favorite character since I started playing the game. I was like, wow, I really like this guy who talks funny, like Shakespeare kind of talk, but is completely serious about it. And he just talks like that normally. It's not for the bit or anything. He just talks like that. And the person who was playing the game with me at the time was like, dude, wait until you see his outfit afterwards, because he changes what class he is playing and he becomes an astrologian, which a lot of their outfits are like Greek robes. So it was right up my alley immediately, which is excellent. So that's why Urianger is on the pyramid. Finally on the pyramid, and I'm purposefully going to avoid using the other surname that is used for him just because But last up on the pyramid, of course, is Estinian Varlano. He got so weird after like Heaven's Word. No one trusts him to make financial decisions anymore. I mean, I don't think they did before, but they're like, do not let him do that on his own. He's kind of becoming very himbo. He's very much a warrior and not much else. But he I don't know. He's great. And apparently, by the way, I was thinking that this obsession with Estinian came out of nowhere. I mentioned it offhandedly to a friend who was like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about coming back to the game. So I was like updating him on like, oh, I also like this character now. And like, this is where I'm at in the story. Like I'm towards the end of Endwalker, that kind of thing. And he was like, oh yeah, I remember. You said Estinian looked hot in his armor when I was picking up the quest for Dragoon. And I went, what? I did? I've been on my game for months, apparently. I don't know where I'm at. Anyway. But I thought that was really funny. But I think also the reason that I put Estinian above Urianger on the pyramid in general is that I mean, first of all, who wrote that one cutscene? They wrote it like a fan fiction. Hello? You open the door to your room and he goes, oh, you're alone. Good. Okay, fan fiction opening. But also a lot of his story has to do with dragons, which I automatically find cool. And I don't know. I know I had more to say about this and I've just forgotten it completely. What the hell? But it just feels like out of nowhere he got more attached emotionally to the Warrior of Light. Like I had a cutscene, and this isn't as much of an Endwalker spoiler, but I got a cutscene before we went to Ultima Thule that was, okay, go talk with these friends in your group, to go talk to these people, and then go talk to these people. And I saved his, it was speak to Estinian and Alphino. And I was like, oh, cool. I will do that one last, I guess, because it's the farthest away from the other two. And the first thing he says to the Warrior of Light in that cutscene is, where were you in my hour of need? Dog, what are you on about? He was like, he basically, to summarize, he basically was like, where were you in my hour of need? I had to talk to rich people. I don't know how to do that. And I'm like, what did you do? And Alphino goes, oh, in some of my more recent letters to my mother, I was like, oh yeah, there's this guy Estinian who travels with us now. He's really cool. And thus his mom wanted to meet Estinian because he was one of the people in the group she hadn't met yet. So Alphino dragged Estinian to his house to have tea with, so that Estinian would have tea with Alphino's mom. And I'm like, what do you mean? Where were you in my hour of need? You can't talk to rich people? Dude, it was one woman. It was your friend's mom, even. Really? Can you really not handle that? I've seen you jump off of a dragon's back and land on the ground from the sky. Perfectly fine. You can't talk to a woman for 10 minutes. Oh, it's just so funny. He became endearing out of nowhere. And if anyone who plays Final Fantasy XIV who is watching this, I have the game on Steam, and the person who I was playing with was 100% certain that the only way for me to buy the expansions still had to be through the website, even though I was very clear that like I play this game through Steam. I bought it through Steam, all of that. So I was like, well, this thing that says Endwalker on it is the only thing on here that says that. And they were like, yeah, that's definitely it. And I like read the price to them and everything. And they were like, yeah, that's definitely it. You've got it. Go for it. I was even screen sharing. They guided me accidentally to buying a story skip. I didn't get to play most of Heavensward. None. Actually, the second half of Shadowbringers, all of Heavensward, all of Stormblood. So that was fun. I stopped playing the game for like 2 years. But as a result of that occurrence, I missed all of Grahatia's story building. I missed all of Estinian's stuff. I missed the whole thing with Orshafam. Don't know if I'm saying that right because I've never heard his name said out loud. You know, of the House Fortemps. Or Fortemps. I don't know, it's French. What do you want from me? I don't know how to pronounce it. It starts with an H. I know you don't pronounce it. There's no way you pronounce it. If their last name is Fortemps? Fortemps? No. I don't know how to pronounce the guy's name. But I missed so much. And I've kind of garnered bits and pieces, but it's, you know, it's not the same as playing through it. So I'm sure Estinian was a little bit endearing before this. And apparently I missed a bunch of parts where Urianger was the opposite of endearing for certain things because, you know, it was like he's just not saying what the thing is, so everyone's suspicious of him kind of thing. Yeah. But I don't care. These are my little guys. Ishtola, she counts. She's one of my little guys. They're all my little guys. Anyways. I'm gonna wrap it up because I've been yapping for an hour. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, y'all. Okay. And that's why Estinian's on the pyramid. Thank you all so much for watching. Happy holidays, regardless of what you celebrate. I'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Next week is our official 1 year of Weekly Hyperfixations. Hell fucking yeah. I do have a different idea for the pyramid next week and things like that. So I'm very excited to do that. But I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your holiday season. If you're traveling, stay safe. Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see y'all next week. Same time, same place. Yeah. Happy holidays, y'all.